Today, we have the opportunity to sit and converse with Deborah Sawaf, the owner, founder, and creative director of Thalé Blanc, the brand. A beautiful line of handbags, evening bags, and accessories. Thalé Blanc is internationally recognized and very well known in Europe. The collection has made its way to the United States and has been seen on the red carpet and worn by celebrities. We're so happy and excited to interview Deborah Sawaf. Welcome to the Finance Bunch. Today we are so fortunate to have the privilege of being in Beverly Hills at the beautiful store of Miss Deborah Sawaf, who is the owner, creative director, and also the founder of Thalé Blanc. Thale Blanc is a beautiful handbag and accessory line that was created by this wonderful woman and is so successful. And today we're going to have a talk with her about being an entrepreneur, being a mentor, and also being the creative director of this beautiful store, and to find out what she's up to now.
Well, hello, Charline, and thank you for having me. It's
Absolutely.
always a pleasure to talk to you. You inspire me, and you give me so many ideas to do new and different things, and I love that.
Oh, great. You know what? It's such an honor to be in your store. And from walking in the door, from every wall to the back, all around the store is just so beautiful. It's like walking into an art museum almost, with all the beautiful bags and the way they were created. When you had your brand originally, where did you first start Thale Blanc? Where was your stores, or did you have a store originally in Europe? How did this come about?
I started in my basement of my home. I had an assistant that moved from Minneapolis to work with me. She was very young, and it was her first time in Los Angeles. And I really started the brand with my director of operations, who has been one of, like, if I had to do things over, she is the person I would hire. She helped me get the brand off the ground. We did a show together in New York, and it wasn't anything like it is today. It was a little more, we started with something called the pochette, which was just a phone case, and then we went into doing bags because I have a friend who is now the president of the Accessories Council, and she said to me, Deb, don't waste your time doing these little things. Just someone will come in and knock you off a phone case, a little phone pochette, no matter how beautiful. People can come in and take that over.
Right.
Just do what you do best. And I thought about it, and with the help of Allison, I actually went ahead and did my first ever show in New York, and we got picked up by a showroom in Italy, and that was it. I mean, they paved the road for me, gave me the best opportunities I could have. Opportunities I would never have dreamed of. They placed us in 60 of the best stores in the world.
Wow.
And for a new brand, that was quite impressive.
Definitely.
To come out of nowhere and have this opportunity. And, a lot of it is about being in the right place at the right time. You make the right decisions, and we got lucky.
I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes there's not this bond or sense of unity. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoy in our friendship, is that when we sit down, we can talk for hours and talk about creativity, talk about, how this bag was made, or what I thought about when I was forming my company. And it can go in different directions. Do you find as an entrepreneur that you've had to build a community like that so that you would have inspiration? Is that something that you've done?
It's always great talking to entrepreneurs and people that have done things, and you tend to learn so much from someone that started from the ground up,
Yes.
and you learn from their achievements, but also from the mistakes they've made. So I think that that exchange is really important, and I like to say we should make more of an effort to talk in group and exchange
Yes.
ideas. Just being in the room with other people might not necessarily be from the same field as you,
Right.
but it's an important exchange that needs to happen regularly. And I say regularly just because life moves so fast these days. We have no time for ourselves. At least I have no time for myself. And taking the time once a month to sit down and exchange ideas, to just talk about things that happened, talk about things that worked or didn't work for you over the last month or two, really puts you. It's refreshing. I was recently at just a panel discussion, and I'm hesitant to go to these things because I'd rather finish work and just go home.
Yes.
And I felt so rejuvenated. I feel like, we really need to take the time to do that more often.
I think so too.
And I learn not just from people that are, that are entrepreneurs. I learn from my friends who are on the sidelines and watch what we do, watch what we're doing.
Yes.
I'm surrounded by very, very wise women.
I love that.
I'm lucky.
Yeah. But I think I think when our intent is to become the best that we can be, we attract a village of people who want to be the best that they can be. And like you said, coming from different perspectives, I think sweetens the pot, right?
It does. It does, and we have to learn that and appreciate it and
Yes.
expect a different and respect a different point of view and a different
Yes.
opinion. And yes, it does.
Yeah. Now, as an entrepreneur, with all of your experience, is there anything you would do differently in your journey?
My strength, what I give to the brand really is sourcing, research, and development. And I'm always looking for what's new and what's different. So it's creating and actually manufacturing a piece that I like to think of as a piece of art, because
Yes.
we put so much thought into it. So I would have liked to live in a city where I worked on a day-to-day basis, not as in running a business, but actually in manufacturing. So I really wish that I had my factory in the same city that I lived in.
That you live in, so that you could be hands-on, more
Yes.
hands-on.
Yes, I think working remote has always been really difficult for me, but for something like creativity or creating something, you need to be, it's like giving someone instructions to cook your pasta in Italy.
Right.
And send it over, but
It might be good, but then again,
Yeah,
you have to find the
right
perfect
touch.
chef, right?
Yes, but when it's your pasta, you'll never have
You'll
the
never
perfect
have the perfect chef. I agree.
It's your recipe.
Yes. Now, of all the bags you've created, what are your top three that of all the bags you've designed, what are your favorite three?
They're like my babies, so I have, every one of them is really special because I've been on the journey with them, or they've been on the journey with me. I think I've been on the journey with them. But my Audrey Classic, my classic Audrey with the tulip stitch is always the one that stands out. It was the first day bag I created.
Okay.
I needed something that was classic, incredible quality, that you could pick out in 5 years or pick up in 5 years, and you could still use it without it being a trend that was once.
Right.
So when I design something, I'm really designing something that's going to have a life on the shelf. I want my daughter to be able to take it out and say, I can use this
Yes.
now that I've just started work. And that's what I try to do. And I think that's what I achieved with the Audrey. And although that's been in the collection for about maybe 5 years, I believe it is still our bestseller.
Wow.
I have a range of, the collection is really large, and I have so much to pick, so many pieces to pick from, but people always gravitate 9 out of 10 times to the one style.
Wow.
It's the Audrey.
The Audrey. Okay. Now, you have a new bag line coming out.
Yes.
And I know you wanted to talk about that bag line. And so, what is the name of it, and why did you create it?
I put so much thought into everything I do, so that's a twofold question.
I
know. So, you know, as you know from our conversations,
Yes.
I'm very close to my family.
Yes.
And it's really important for me to be around my kids, to be there for them as much as I can, because I travel and work, and family is really important to me. I wanted to create something that put out that message that families need to be together.
Yes.
And we started out with calling it the Mother and Daughter Collection, but then it's really a whole family thing. It's not just about
Right.
mothers and daughters. There's that special bond, but I'm really close with my kids as well, and I love my husband. The way I designed the bag was for it to be beautiful and yet functional. So everything you need is with you at all times, whether it's your phone or your keys or your eyeglasses. We have an eyeglass case that attaches to the strap of the bag. We have a pocket for the phone and a pocket for your keys or your change. It helps you be organized. It keeps everything together, and I think that's the most important thing, and that's the message. I try and I use, the brand is a platform. Thale Blanc is a platform, and
Yes.
we have a voice, and I want to be able to, I want to be able to, not to talk about things that I feel are important, because there are other people that might feel the same way as me. We're not
Yes.
all the same. But families need to be together.
Yes.
And this is really how my family should be and how I would want my family to be. It was called the Mother and Daughter Collection, but it's really about family. It's about keeping everything together and being organized. And it no matter what you go through, with good times, bad times, misery, anything, as long as no matter how low you are, as long as you're together,
Yes.
you handle it better, you deal with it better. Like sorrows, what did they say about sorrows shared or sorrows
Yes.
halved?
Yes, definitely. That is better when you have someone to share the experience with, bad
Yes.
or good, because you can help lift each other up.
Yes.
Or if you're up, you can help
It triples.
applaud each other.
Yes, it magnifies.
Yes.
Your second question, the second part of the question is, I called it the Giselle.
The Giselle.
I've been surrounded by a few Giselles,
Okay.
very, very close to my heart, and who've been by my side, and I felt like this was a dedication to them, to whether it's how they are as people. They've held me close, they've picked me up when I was down, they've celebrated me when I was on a pedestal. They've always been there. They've kept me focused, a great source of advice and inspiration. You don't have to be a woman in business, or you don't have to be a woman with a career to be
Yes.
wise and to have that positivity all the time. To tell you what you're doing wrong and pat you on the back when you do things right.
Yes.
And this was, to me, a dedication to some of the most powerful women in my life, or the most influential women in my life.
I love that. And so, do you tend to name your bags after people?
I like to do that. I don't get to do it enough, because then I have to tell the story behind
Exactly.
every
For every name.
And I do have a story for every name. But I think this was twofold. It had two messages. It was about time I dedicated something to someone that's been really important and instrumental and been by my side through growing Thale Blanc. through thick and thin. And also the message about keeping families together.
Yeah, what an honor. What an honor to have a bag named after you. What an honor, you know?
Well, yes.
It is. I know, well, coming from you, you know, you feel like you're giving a tribute to someone and that the bag encompasses, you know, like you said, keeping families together, you know, and lifting each other and things like that. But for the person who the bag is named after, that is such an honor. Definitely.
And also, you know, a lot of what we do is about making sure we try and give back from every collection that we create. We don't need to wait until we're successful to give back. You can start, and what my kids do, you can start at a really young age, and what my kids do is give back from, you know, presents they receive or their birthdays. Every opportunity you get, it becomes a habit because you tend to feel the gratification of giving. And I think that's something I like my kids to remember through their lives and raise their kids the same way.
I love that, because when you say don't wait until you think you're successful to give back ongoing, make it a part of your life, be a person who is a giver. Because I think sometimes we think that, oh, when I'm successful, I'll write the check and I'll give then. No, giving back just means like give of your time.
Absolutely.
Give of your energy.
More important.
You know, give a hug, you know, talk to someone, you know, help someone with their homework, you know, take care of someone's child, you know, for an hour so they can just get away. There's so many ways of giving back. And especially when you look at, you know, women as a whole, you know, no matter what level of income, no matter what height they're at, you know, financially, they may be succeeding, you know, there's still things that are needed. I know some very successful women who could use a hug.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just could use a hug, or to know that a friend is a friend, you know, someone that they can, you know, sit and cry with and not appear weak, someone they can talk to and not be considered confused, you know? And so I think the way you encompass family and love into your business, your brand, for me is just phenomenal, because everyone doesn't take the time to do that. A lot of times people are running to success and not smelling the roses and the flowers and the orchids and the daisies along the way. And for you to instill that in your children is amazing.
I do have parents say to me sometimes, Deb, you know, these events you're doing are really great for the kids. You should do it more often. And I have little time. I used to do them a lot more when my kids were younger. But with the brand now, I don't have a lot of time. But it's not that I'm taking the time to do it, or I'm taking more time than other people are taking. I think it's just the way my brain works. It's just the way I think. And not, it's something that comes foremost to my mind when I'm doing something. If, you know, I feel like there's an opportunity to help someone, I will find a way to build that around what I'm doing.
Yes.
So to me, it comes naturally. I don't have to think too much about it, but, you know, not everybody can think the way I do.
Right. So, but a key to it is for those who aren't necessarily, it's not their go-to, it's not the way they do things, to remember that even the little things count when you're talking about giving back. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to wait till you can write the big check to the organization. It's all along your life's path.
True.
And so I like that, because you literally built it into your brand.
Yes, we tried. We tried to bring that forefront of the brand. Time, I mean, we have so little of it now. So, you know, just taking the time for someone else is so important.
Definitely. Entrepreneurs have a lot of questions. And I know that you mentor some entrepreneurs, and there's a difference between mentoring and coaching. And so for you, what is the difference? Because there's definitely a difference. Because when you coach people, that's one thing, but when you mentor them, it's another. So why did you choose mentorship?
I chose mentorship because I think it's something that I would have liked to have when I started out as an entrepreneur, when I started my business, have people put me in the right direction. You have to take a full circle before you realize that you could have just done this 2 steps
Yes.
after you started.
Yes.
And no matter where you've been to school and what you've studied, I think when you're starting out on your own, you're doing something new and you're trying to do it differently, which is why you're an entrepreneur, because you think you can do it differently, you can do it better. And I think just cutting out all of these steps of, going to different people, I think with mentors, you take the time because you choose to take the time.
Yes.
You're interested. You're passionate about what you're doing as a mentor. You want to network them. I want to feel proud when someone I'm mentoring has achieved their goal or has even taken the next step up. It makes me, it's like they come to me and say, Deb, I actually met with so-and-so and it's really nice, and they introduced me to the next person. Networking to entrepreneurs is everything, but it's the right networking. It's really me knowing that introducing my mentee to X, Y, or Z is really going to cut out everything else where they're picking up the phone, calling the assistant, I'd like to meet with so-and-so. You just take out all of that noise and you get them straight to the person where I can call and say, I'm trying to help this one company that's just starting up, and can you see them and just hear them out?
Yes.
And I love doing that because I've seen, over the last 2 years, I've seen how much it's impacted their business.
I wanted people to get to see a whole picture of you, not just a snapshot, like the whole person. Because I think, especially with women entrepreneurs, just the young people that I talk to, they're so afraid. They're so afraid. They're afraid of everything. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of stepping out. They're afraid of their own gift, and they're so afraid. So to have someone like you who takes the time to mentor, like you said, every water every drop of water in the ocean makes the ocean. So
Correct.
I think sometimes, at least for myself, I feel like I want to make my dent in the universe, and I want to do it one girl at a time, one woman at a time.
Yes, I think because so much comes from it, like I said, I was at this event recently and somebody said something. They would just start up by saying, oh, by the way, I'm doing this and I'm about to launch it, but I don't know. And, someone else on the panel would say, oh, call her. She does that.
Exactly.
I was so impressed because I don't do these
things, right?
outside of me doing it here.
Right.
But if we do that more often and get together more often, and everyone has to have a need for it at the same time.
At the same time, yes. Yeah.
I didn't think I needed it as much as when I actually take the time to go to some of these events.
Right. Yes.
And the smaller and more intimate they are,
the better.
more you're able to connect.
The more you're able to connect. And every woman I've talked to so far has said the same thing. Charline, keep it small. And I said, good, because I want to keep it small. I think it should be a collective, 10 women.
10 women, 12
10 women. Yes, 10 to 12 women. And I think
let's do it. I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
We'll, put a little table here and have a round table discussion.
Table, yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? Talk about who you are, what you do, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what do you need help with.
Yes.
Which is how I started.
Yes.
Like this is what we're going to do today.
Yes.
And you don't have. It doesn't have to be that you need help. in your business.
No.
No one might have it. It could be anything. It's like, how do I handle this? How do I
Mm-hmm.
organize my life? How do I have dinner ready when I
Yes.
go home? The simple
Simple
silly
things
things
that people,
that could
it can
uncomplicate
make
your life.
make a world of difference in someone's life. Just how do I have a healthy, wholesome dinner every night when I get home? How do I accomplish that? And I work all day, and I'm tired on Saturday or whatever it is.
And something else I think that's really important for entrepreneurs to know, that at the end of the day, you're on your own. If you
Yes.
don't have a partner, you need to hire a team that believes in you.
Yes.
It's the most important thing.
Yes.
And then you have to have a customer that
Right.
believes in you.
Yes.
And those two things, because it's hard work.
It really
It's hard
is.
work. If somebody falls off the rail, I mean, you've got to be
You got
there
to pick it up. That's right.
So really, for young people that think, oh, you know what, I've got this and I'm doing this and I'm doing the other, you have to realize that any given point in time, that's not going to be there.
That's
for
right.
Whatever
For
reason.
whatever
Someone
reason.
gets a better opportunity and they move on. Someone just can't take it because it's too much work. You have to know, and that's why I want to say, know your business from the ground up.
Yes. Know every piece of your business so that if someone does step away for whatever the reason, you can pick it up and keep moving.
True. Especially for me, it's my product.
Yes.
So no matter what, my business is product. I have to put out a good product.
Yes.
There's no compromising.
That's
on
right.
that. So for people like us,
Yes.
for a writer, you have to write the best story.
That's
For someone like you that's interviewing, you have to
Yes.
find the best people. So
The best people.
to interview, to make it interesting.
That's right.
But how do you market it? Which is what we were talking
Which
about.
was what we were talking about, exactly.
Yes.
So
How do you
marketing
put it
is the
out there?
next thing.
And you also have to stay on top of that.
Yes.
Because that's changing. So, always have your ear to the wall, or have someone on your team that's interested and motivated and driven. Drive is something you cannot teach either.
Right.
Driven, so they're on top of it and they know what's happening next. They come up with ideas. They need to think like entrepreneurs, because you're not working for a corporation and doing your little job. You're
That's right.
thinking outside the box. I mean, I have my team come up with ideas. I'm like, really amazing. Go for it.
Yeah.
Let's make it
let's
work,
make it
because
work.
it
Yes.
takes all these arms within the business that have to be talking.
What advice would you give a woman who has had a full career and now she wants to become an entrepreneur? She wants to have her own business. What is some advice that you would give her?
Know the business you're going into, or you're starting from the ground up. Hire a team that believes in you. There are so many. I think something you have to be prepared for when you're working for someone else and you're working for a corporation. You do your job and go home.
Right.
When you're an entrepreneur, you have to pick up the pieces no matter what.
Yes.
It's you're responsible for your success and you're responsible for your failures.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a wrong decision, a mistake, you have to be ready to say,
I take ownership of that.
I take ownership of that.
Yes.
It was my fault. There's always someone to blame for not doing something right, but at the end of the day, you made the decision hiring them.
That's
or
right.
you made the decision going that route.
Mm-hmm.
Because being an entrepreneur is hard. It's even harder today. For me, I think I would have liked to have my entire business in the city I lived in, because life moves so fast. If you're a woman and you have family and you have a business and it's thousands of miles away, you just complicate and make your life more difficult. But if you've had a career, then you definitely know what you want to do.
Yes.
If it's what you've already been doing for several years, you've nailed it, I hope. If it's something new, if you're a great cook and you just want to do something different, I think that's amazing too. But make sure you know what comes with it, and make sure you've studied your competition.
Yes. Okay. Now I want to ask you about social media. How much of a role does social media play in your business?
Social media is the face of your brand, and you have the opportunity to tell your story. People don't have to go look for you, you show up on their feed. So I think you've got to make it beautiful. It's got to be live. I think video is so important.
Yes.
So social media plays a really big part. I don't practice everything I preach, but I should do more of being present on my social media. It's your opportunity to tell your story that people might never know. I make a bag, but no one knows. A lot of people don't know what goes into making
Right.
goes into it. A lot of people might buy the bag, but not know much about the brand. They buy the bag, but because it's beautiful, but we have a story. The brand has a story,
Right.
and social media is your opportunity to tell that story.
To tell that story. So make sure that when you set up your social media page, that you have your story in mind.
Yes.
Right.
And think ahead and plan ahead, and things will change, but because you can go back to it and look at it. So we do a 9 grid, and this is for people that are doing their social media, and I don't go back often enough and look at it, but when it pops up, just because we're so busy, when it just pop up on my feed, I think, oh, but I could have done this slightly differently.
Right.
So take the time, because it's really important. People don't go to your website as quickly anymore as they look for you on Instagram.
Social media. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, your philanthropic side. You're so multifaceted, right? So, so I want to talk about that a little bit. Your Happy project. What inspired Happy?
Well, Happy has a story. It was a random act of kindness on a really bad day. And it was just someone that took the time to do something that would have, on a normal day, not meant anything to me. I would have said thank you and moved on. But in that moment, when I was so low, it just changed everything for me and said, oh my God, this person actually took the time for me. Either they felt like I was really low, and I wish I could have given him something more than just a better tip. I wish I had a card, and which was what came to my mind. And I said to my friend, I said, I wish I had just a little something to give him to remind him of the fact that he impacted my day.
Yes.
And so we created the Happy cards.
Yes.
And it reads, it's a very straightforward message that says, I have a reason to be happy, and the reason is you.
Yes.
And this is really a reminder for the receiver of the card. It's not so much for the one giving the card, it's what you did for me.
Yes.
And, I'd like to say it's paying it forward. But I would like that person to remember that you were important enough to impact my day for me to hand you this. And I hope that these cards will be really important someday.
Yeah, I love it.
Or mean something. So we do T-shirts and small, little gift items, a little card holder for the back of your phone. We try to make them really inexpensive so people can give it out. Even the cards, just hand it out to someone when they've done something nice. Keep it in your wallet like you would keep a business card, because you never know when someone's going to do something that impacts your day.
Exactly. Can I tell you what I really love about the card? It's a few things. Number one, it's your brand. And number two, second thing I like about it is that it tells you precisely, I have a reason to be happy, and that reason is you. And so it personalizes it. Absolutely. But then also the feel of the card, because the texture of the card is very well made. So it's strong. It's something you can hold on to. And when you put it in your wallet, depending on the wallet, you feel it because it's a little thicker. So it's a lot of thought. I can tell a lot of thought went in, even to making the card. because the card is not just a flimsy card, it's a very well structured card. So it becomes a keepsake.
Yes.
It's more of a keepsake than a card. So I wanted to point that out. And thank you for giving me one. I think
Thank
it's
you.
beautiful. I love
You
it.
always make me smile. And, it's
Thank you.
it's
Yeah.
well deserved.
Well, thank you. I'm definitely going to keep that with me.
And a percentage of proceeds, 25% of proceeds from Happy go towards education of underprivileged kids.
Okay, because I know education is very important to you, and helping underprivileged children with their education is also very important to you. So that's great.
Yes, I think education changes the world. It changes generations. You educate a child and you've already educated a family, the next generation, and then families, the following generation. So, you don't have to do anything big. It's got to be small. If we can, we start the programs run by kids for kids, and if we can educate one kid at a time or one child at a time, we're educating a family, the next generation.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm hoping that we have this in 5 cities in 5 years.
And
we're
you
in
will.
2 cities now. Yes.
I know you will. You know what, Deborah? This, as always, has been an amazing time spent with you. I can't even call it an interview. I have to call it an experience. So thank you again for another experience with you. I absolutely love you.
Thank
and
you.
I
It's
love
precious.
what you do. Thank you.